The United States and India are two nations that hold some of the largest economic activity the world has ever seen. According to the U.S.-Indian Strategic Partnership Forum, the two countries' trade in goods and services amounted to over $121 billion in 2020, but in the previous year in 2019, it was over $148 billion. Making the two nations' relationship a key economic engine for both countries, but also a fundamental link for the entire Asian region. But more than just trade, the United States actually plays a very vital role in India's investment landscape. Data from the U.S. International Trade Administration shows that the stock of foreign direct investment, or FDI, from the U.S. to India has consistently been a huge sum. In 2020, it amounted to close to $42 billion. But historically, in 1999, it was just around $2.4 billion and reached its peak in 2017 when it was over $45.1 billion. This has then positioned the United States as one of India's biggest international investors, besides the likes of Singapore, Japan, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. So how did the United States emerge as a key part of the Indian economy? Before we move on, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe for more. The US-Indian relationship has a very deep economic history, but the most significant part began after the independence of India, to which the US kept close ties with the South Asian nation. During the first few years of its independence, the US provided aid in terms of food and further assistance to help the struggling economy. By 1961, when the economy is starting to pick up and the need for a country's development is becoming more necessary, the US stepped up to provide over $1 billion worth of development loans. Come 1974, the two nations' policies, however, started to drift after India had its first nuclear test. Regardless of how the two nations viewed the world at that time, the US still stood as India's largest trading partner. A significant moment in history was during the 1980s when Rajiv Gandhi came into power as a prime minister and visited the US. During this decade, the economy of India would start to emerge as a preferred outsourcing hub and economic partner with the US, and by 1985, the manufacturing giant Texas Instruments opened its first research and development facility in Bangalore. By the end of the Cold War in 1991, India had undergone a form of economic change that would be a catalytic moment in India's economic history. Fast forward to the 21st century, India emerged as one of the fastest growing economies, led by its service sector, which grew exponentially. Also, its merchandise trade with the United States, which was less than $1 billion in 1958, grew to more than $20 billion by the end of 2006. Today, the two nations share a special global strategic relationship that oversees a large part of the world's trade and financial movements. The US has continuously supported India's nation through various financial means, but India has also done its way to support the US economy. This is done through its service and manufacturing industry. The Indian nation is one of the most strategic places today for US companies to open up their own international headquarters. According to data, there are around 300 large firms operating in the country, the majority of which is in the IT industry. But this is even expected to grow further as Western countries start to change their base of operations from China to India. An observation found that over 200 companies are looking to do so. Vice versa, however, there are also a ton of Indian companies operating in the US. Take for example Wipro, an Indian IT service corporation that has over 40 facilities across 23 US states. And there is more than just Wipro. Such giant firms are the likes of Tata Group, Infosys, HCL Technologies, Mahindra & Mahindra, and quite a few more, but very heavy on the IT field. Hence, the IT field has played one of the largest roles in recent years for American investment money, with outsourcing and manufacturing playing large roles. But in the end, we think that the biggest reason why the US chose India is because of its population, which is basically human capital. India today has the second largest labor force, has the second largest STEM graduates, and a society that can adapt to the upcoming technological change. With the US finding more resources and people, India is in the right position.